Yo, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about The Rage of Dragons. I just finished this book last night. I was on a binge read, basically. Like the last 2 or 3 hours, just hunkered down and finished the entire book. Suffice it to say, this was an awesome book. I would recommend it for people who are probably an introduction to sort of fantasy. It's funny enough, I reviewed Ender's Game on this channel, and I talked about how Ender's Game is kind of this like sci-fi entry level, and I think this could be the same when it comes to fantasy. Not exactly that it has the same sort of framework as Ender's Game, but it has this fast-paced sort of writing to it, and it's not a super long fantasy book, probably like an average fantasy book, I think around 100,000 words, and it's super fast-paced and very well deserved of the acclaim that it does have. I really loved the main character, Teu. That's how I said his name. I don't know if I got it right, but Evan Winter really crafted a well-paced, well-realized story, Teu's sort of journey through getting revenge. So a little bit synopsis of the book. Basically, it's a revenge story about this guy named Teu, and he is born in sort of the lower class that are called lessers, and then there's the nobles, and they have different ranks within them, but basically a lesser can never become a noble. And in this sort of caste system that's broken up between nobles and lessers, you would think that there's like sort of a scale where you can get up to this noble sort of caste, and that is just not the case at all. Like, you basically can't make that sort of jump, and you're basically viewed as nothing. You're sort of, how they talk about it is they're sort of the fodder when it comes to their battles. They put all the lessers up on the front lines basically, and then they have all the nobles who stay back and protect the people that are called gifted, which are the women who have certain type of powers that you will see in the book. That sort of leads me into its magic system. It's really cool, really different. It's not fully explained. And the times in the book that it was explained, I was like, okay, I'm ready for the next thing. But it plays into the end of the story and is really interesting with how they execute some things. So back to Teu. This will give sort of minor spoilers for the first little part of the book, the setup of what this book is. So he is a lesser, and he trains with a friend who is a part of the noble class. His name is Jabari. I believe that's how you say that. And they're really good friends. Everything is basically normal. They are training, they train together, they sword fight. Teu's father is like this sort of blade master type of person that helps them train, and you set up that Teu sort of hates this lesser and noble sort of caste system, which is very reasonable because he is treated like dirt by everybody else except Jabari, and one event leads to the other without giving too many spoilers, and there's sort of a rift between Jabari and Teu, and eventually leads to Teu's father's death, and it sets Teu on this sort of revenge sort of cycle that he is going to be going on. Typically, revenge stories sort of end in tragedy. This is book 1 in a series, and I haven't read the second book yet, which is out, and the third one should be out pretty soon. I haven't really checked up on that, but it is a climactic, crazy sort of ending to this book, which was super awesome. I'll get into deeper spoilers later with the end of the book, and you can tell that Evan is really trying to hit home his sort of themes, or his thesis, he likes to put it, at the end of this book. At least that's kind of how I see it. I would definitely give this book a look. I believe it placed top 100 fantasy books, and I think it is well deserved. It is a very fast-paced sort of book. The way that he does his pacing is really cool. So he has chapters, but and then he sort of breaks up his chapters with smaller sort of viewpoints. We're mainly in Teu's the entire time, but he will only accomplish like one scene. And typically there's like 5 or 6 scenes in one chapter. It really breaks up these sort of chapters, and I really like the way that he broke down the way that he paced his book. I read it on my Kindle, and typically a chapter would only take around like 8 or 9 minutes, and then I would go to the next chapter or viewpoint in that one chapter, and then I would finish that viewpoint, and then I would go to the next sort of scene or viewpoint thing, and it was only 8 minutes. So it was like, oh, 8 minutes, okay, I could get through that pretty fast. oh, that was cool, I want to go to the next thing, and then it only took another 8 minutes to get through that, and sure enough, I would spend like a few hours reading this book, and it was really enjoyable. I really liked it a lot. So if you are interested in picking up this book, I would highly suggest it. I'm gonna get into a little bit more spoilers now, where we can have more of a book discussion. So if you don't want any spoilers for this book, and if you've already read it, then I would love to talk about it, so click away now for spoilers. The ending of this book is absolutely insane. It causes another reset for Teo, and it basically has nothing at all except for this revenge that he still wants. I definitely didn't see it coming. I totally thought Jabari died at the end, and then you see in the first chapter of the next book that it's his viewpoint and he is alive, but he is very, very badly burned. Another thing was there's this love story that was in the background, obviously, if you've read the book, with Zuri, and her dying at the end with him trying to save her the entire time was just absolutely like heartbreaking. Evan Winter did a great job sort of depicting this diplomacy going on with the Queen and the Zidians while Teo is grieving in the middle of all of that. And it was absolutely insane, heart-wrenching. The fact that like half of Scale Jayed just like died at the end of it. Lots of death, and I think that's sort of Evan Winter's sort of thesis for the end of this book, and maybe the entire series, is that revenge in this sort of cycle only ends in death, and Teo's going to be the only one to stay alive and be the one that gets the brunt of this sort of consequence because he has decided to lead this sort of life, right? So I think that's sort of what Evan Winter is trying to say, and he showed it in this first book. And then with the end with the Queen Tesora, dang it, I forget how to kind of say it. But with her, I love her trepidation, I guess is the right word to say, and the fact that Teo is maybe the only one to be able to see how scared that she actually is, and he's really paying attention when that happens, and she has to be this big leader for everybody. And I have a feeling that she's obviously going to be a very big character for the rest of the series, or at least for this next book. Who knows, it could go terribly wrong in book 2. And Teo still has his revenge to get, so it plays very well with his revenge that he wants. Is also the guy who is causing this huge sort of coup within the kingdom, and all this crazy stuff with the Queen's sister and stuff like that, and raising her to be the queen and getting the petty nobles behind it. And then the entire time, while trying to reunite this kingdom, they are going to have to take on the brunt of the attack by the Zidians when they come back again. So it's really great with playing up the stakes and everything, and I really enjoy this, and I can't wait to get in book 2. My next book to read is Poppy War, and I'm starting to go through that, but I think I just might just go through Fires of Vengeance because I'm super excited to get through the book. So if you guys read it, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Obviously, I really liked the book, but I want to hear what you guys think. So leave a comment below. Make sure to like and subscribe to the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.